Hello everybody, it's Emma here with another one of our Yoga for Runners videos. This time we are looking at the muscles and the joints of the lower body, in particular the muscles of the quads at the front, hamstrings at the back, calves at the back, and the hip joint and the glute muscles at the back and the sides. So grab yourself a couple of blocks, we might need them for our lunge poses. Head to your mat and let's start in a kneeling position, Vajrasana, the thunderbolt pose. So we're going to start this class today with the toe stance. If you've already done the toe, the feet, the core and the shoulders video, you'll remember this one. So we're going to bring the weight forward, curl the toes under, and then lift the knees off the mat, walk the hands back in, and bring your shoulders over your hips, and your hips over your heels, and your heels over your toes. And then you can either stay with your hands on your legs, or you could bring your hands into a prayer. And for a little bit of challenge, you could bring that prayer behind your back. Stay for another 3 or 4 breaths. And then if your hands are behind your back, bring them forward. We're going to bring the hands to the mat and then inhale, lift up into a forward fold. So you might want to take your feet a little wider, drop the chest and drop the lower tummy down towards the legs. Let your head be heavy. Maybe move a little bit. Neck heavy, shoulders heavy. Maybe grab your opposite hand to opposite elbow. And keep a good bend in the knees. Okay, let's release the hands to the mat, walk the feet in. And inhale and reach your arms up and overhead, so all the way up to extended mountain, palms touch. And then breathe out, bring your arms down into mountain pose. Okay, good. Let's come towards the top of the mat and just have your feet slightly apart. And we're going to come into a version of chair pose, Katasana. So I want you to sweep your arms up and overhead and reach high for the ceiling. And then come up as high as you can onto your toes, lifting your heels as high as you can. Okay. Then, keeping your heels really high, I want you to, let me start that again. Keeping your heels really high, I want you to bend your knees, and we're going to sit down into our chair, but keeping the heels high off the mat. So keep your heels high, high, high. So you should feel this now in the front of the legs. Stay high on the heels, another few breaths. One more breath in, and then lift up, heels down, and bring yourself to forward fold. Good. Okay, once again, let's let the lower body feel relaxed, the upper body relaxed against it, knees bent. Okay, once again, bring the feet closer together and inhale, sweep up, extended mountain pose. And mountain pose, release. Okay, now let's bring the feet to hip width apart. We're going to come into a high lunge. So take one of your legs back into a big high lunge shape. So sink into your front knee and come high onto your back toes. Reach your fingertips up into the air. Take a big inhale. And then we're going to drop the back knee towards the mat and come up. So exhale down, inhale up. We'll do 3 more. And coming up, back knee down, come up, last one, back knee down, Come up, gaze forward, back foot to the top. Exhale, release your arms down. Good job. Let's change. Feet to hip width apart. And step your other foot back. High lunge. Arms up and overhead. So stay high on your toes at the back. Breathe in. And then exhale down. Inhale up. Exhale down. Inhale up. 3 more. Up. Down. Up. 1 more. Coming up. Breathe in. Breathe out. Release. Back to mountain pose. Good. Okay. Let's come down. All fours position. We're going to work through 3 different positions from our lunge foundation. So let's start off by stepping 1 foot to the back of the mat. And come onto your toes so that leg is straight. And then we'll just send the weight forward and back a few times. And then bring your shoulders over your wrists and push that heel, that lengthened leg heel away. So drawing it towards the back of your mat, so you should feel a stretch into the back of your leg, into your calf muscle. Stay for another 3 breaths. And then release by bringing your bringing that foot, it's my right, outside your top hand, that hand on that side. Do you see what I mean? Okay, and then you're going to curl the toes of the back foot, walk that knee further down the mat. We're coming into lizard lunge. And I want you to keep walking your back knee away until you can feel a good stretch into your hip flexor here at the back. And then hug your front knee and your front shoulder close together. And let's stay here. In fact, I'm going to time it. I'm looking at my clock. We're going to stay here for a minute on each side. Okay, so when we are stretching, our static stretches, we want to focus in on breathing deeply and relaxing into the stretch. So we're about halfway through. Keep going. Last breath or 2. Good. Okay, we're going to change now and turn this into a quad stretch. So you can keep your front leg where it is. And then we're going to bend the back knee. So you'll want to be just above the knee so that you are not on the bony joint. So we're bending into that back knee, and then we're going to swing the opposite hand around. It's like, where is my foot? There is my foot. So grab your foot. If the foot's not available to you, just have the intention of grabbing it. And if you have it, you might want to start bringing it in towards your bottom. So go steady with this. It's quite a deep stretch, actually. We'll hold it for another 3 or 4 breaths. Good. And then we'll let go nice and carefully, so no catapulting. And then we're going to take the front knee back. Let's stretch out the back in child's pose. So release the hips down towards the heels. And stretch your arms out in front, bring your forehead down, or bring your chin down. And let's stay for a moment and just let that settle. And then let's come back up. Okay, so this time bring your other foot forward and then stretch out through your back leg, your other leg. And let's go backwards and forwards a few times. And then when you've done that a few times, push down into your front foot and send your back heel away, down towards the mat. Let's have another 4 breaths here. Good, now let's drop the back knee to the mat. We'll walk the front foot outside the front hand and hug the knee close to the shoulder. And then walk that knee at the back, as far back as it feels comfortable to go. And then untuck the toes on the mat. Okay, so I'm gonna time it. We're gonna stay for a minute. So once again, when we are in a longer held stretch, a passive or a static stretch rather, we want to breathe into it so that we can relax as much as possible. So take deep breaths. So a hip flexor stretch. You should feel this in your back hip. We are over halfway through. And the last few breaths. Okay, good. Let's turn this into our quad stretch. So you might want to go a bit further back with your knee and then bend your knee. So once again, we want to be on the flesh above the knee rather than on the knee joint itself. Reach your front arm around to grab your foot and then maybe bring the heel in towards the bottom. And we'll stay here for about 6 breaths. Good, and then we'll let go. We won't catapult. We'll let go gently and take your front leg back. Let's find our way into child's pose. Seat bones back and settle down for a few breaths to let that settle. Okay, now we'll push up and we'll swing around and we'll come to a reclined foundation. So come down with your knees bent and bring your heels in towards your bottom. So we're going to do 2 poses here. We're focusing in on the glutes and the outside of the hips in the first pose. So, heels underneath the hips, feet hip width apart. Lift one foot, I'm going to lift the right, and cross your ankle just over your left thigh, outside and just above your left knee. And then keep your hips level as you let your knee draw away from the center of the body. Keep your arms down by the sides, and we'll stay here to begin for 5 breaths. Okay, so now we can deepen the intensity of this figure 4 pose by lifting the left foot off the mat, sending the right hand in between the thighs and either interlacing behind the thigh or interlacing in front of the shin and hugging everything in towards the body. Let's stay here for 6 breaths. You're stretching muscles in the back and the outside of your hip, your glutes. Okay, let's release that connection with the shin or the leg. Let the foot return to the mat and bring the other foot down as well. So back to your constructive rest pose, your starting position. And then let's change onto the other side. So lift your left foot, cross your ankle to the outside of your right thigh, just above the knee, and let your left knee travel out to the side. 5 breaths, figure 4 pose. And then for the next 5 breaths, you might want to lift up your right foot, send your left hand in between your thighs and either interlace behind your right thigh or reach forward and interlace in front of your right shin. Stay for 6 breaths. Once again, in the deep stretch, your focus is on breathing and relaxing into the stretch. Okay, let's release the connection with the shin or the thigh. Bring your right foot down and uncross your left leg. Okay, let's bring the arms to the side of the body. Just be still for a moment. And maybe take some gentle swaying movements from side to side. We have a final pose to do. And it's bridge pose. So let's bring the heels under the knees and the arms at the side of the body with the palms down. I'm going to push into the feet and push into the back of the arms. Lift the hips up into the air and send your hips as high up as you can. So a big inhale and then exhale, bring your hips down. We'll do that 4 more times. So inhale to lift up as high as you can, push down in the arms. Exhale, come down. Inhale, lift. Lift high through the hips. And breathe out, release to the mat. Let's do 2 more. Inhale, hips rise. Exhale, hips down. And we'll do a final one and we'll hold it. So breathe in, reach up. And then take deep breaths 3 times. Take a last breath in. And as you breathe out, release your spine down to the mat. And then when you land on the mat, take no movement for a moment. Just allow your hips to be still. And in fact, feel the energy that you've created in this short practice. Now, if you want to, you could maybe just take your feet a little further away from the hips and rest in constructive rest, or you could take your legs into a straight position for Shavasana with your arms at the side of the body and your palms facing up. So if you would like to take a resting pose, please feel free and take your time to ease yourself back into the world. Thank you for joining me on this video. I hope to see you on another video very soon. Om Shanti.